Hi there. I am speaking on behalf of the Undergrad Research Center within the Sciences at UCLA. This workshop is going to be about how to get into research, as well as some information about the coursework called SRP 99. And this will be tailored towards the life sciences, physical sciences, as well as the engineering research discipline. So today's workshop, we're going to be going over what research looks like at UCLA. How do we find a faculty mentor as an undergraduate? How to earn course credits for research, and some opportunities for student researchers. You can get some help or stop by our office at the Life Sciences 2121 building. And so what does research look like at UCLA? Typically, you'd be working with the leader of a research lab called a principal investigator, abbreviated as PI. And so a PI is essentially like the boss of the lab or the lead researcher who funds the research, who poses the questions, and also who recruits students to collaborate with. So new students usually join on an ongoing project in the lab and are usually supervised by more senior researchers, such as postdoctoral scholars, as well as graduate students. Why do people do research? Well, you can do it to contribute to the body of knowledge in your field. I think it's amazing that you could potentially be contributing to the research projects that end up in textbooks on campus. Some students really enjoy earning important skills and getting hands-on experience outside of the classroom that you may have gotten introduced to through laboratory classes, but to apply it to a hypothesis is a very, very different version of learning a topic and contributing your own ideas to seeing through a specific theory or an experimental approach. So you can also do it to enhance competitiveness for admission to graduate and professional schools. And that includes as well as high-level employment. So many other students really enjoy the fact that through research, you could build really meaningful relationships and receive mentorships from experts in your field. For example, I am a PhD student in the neuroscience department here at UCLA, but my research grants and my research papers are still edited by mentors that I had during my undergraduate years. So in research, mentorship is potentially lifelong. And as long as if there is like a mutually beneficial relationship, you can have these teachers throughout your whole academic journey and your whole education at UCLA. You can also do research to complete degree requirements. For example, a biomedical minor, you might be able to do research and get some electives off. You can also qualify for competitive scholarships and programs where you would be receiving a stipend or you would be getting set up with specific experienced mentors to work on a project with a clear start and end during an academic quarter or maybe during the summer. Research can take many forms, especially at UCLA, where there's a lot of interdisciplinary research. There are different tiers of the same scientific process. We have basic science research, which looks at fundamental theories. Clinical research involves data with patients and may take place at either the hospital across campus or also in the lab spaces on campus using open source or available patient data. Applied research would be using basic science research to develop technologies. Translational research uses basic science to improve human health, and field research would relate to studying the ecosystem, environmental, or model organisms outside of a lab setting. Now, at UCLA, like I said, it's very interdisciplinary. So you might find a lab that you enjoy that crosses multiple levels. For me specifically, I work in neuroimaging, and so it actually spans clinical and translational research. So you can find the perfect ratio of each level of research for you, but it really does take trial and error or also self-reflection and really knowing what your preferences are in terms of a learning environment as well as a mentorship style. In terms of finding your research interest, you can ask yourself, what topics are you interested in? You can review the classes that you've taken, talk to your TAs and professors about potential areas of interest. You can even ask them to recommend you towards a different lab or kind of recommend some coursework that you can maybe take and connect with different professors in that field. Some questions that you can ask also include, what kind of research environment are you looking for? Do you want to look at research in a wet lab environment where you wear a lab coat, you work with cell culture, you collect the data? Or do you want to work in a dry lab where it may be computational, you can be working remote, or a hybrid of the two? Some students also really enjoy experiences that are tailored to their goals. And so you can also ask yourself, what type of techniques do I want to learn by the time I finish this research project? And potentially, what kind of careers would open up once I know these skill sets? To get inspired, you can definitely look online. There are plenty of TED Talks where people are very passionate about their research and they convey it to a public audience. You can read some papers, have a chat with student researchers, and browse the Research Week site, attend a research conference, or join a club or organization on campus where you'll meet other students and actually learn from them directly if they like their mentor, what they study, and also the opportunities that come with research on campus. When should you plan to start? Our recommendation for first year admits is in the summer or the fall of your first year. This is when you've completed your lower division courses and have a little bit more like time management skills and a clear idea of what you're interested in within your major or outside your major if you want to explore. For transfer students, you're welcome to start within the winter after your first year, once you've adjusted to the course system, and that means you should be looking for opportunities in the summer or the fall. Of course, these are just recommendations and the typical timeline for students that excel and really enjoy research on campus. So in terms of finding a faculty mentor, we recommend 3 approaches. You can contact faculty directly by finding their email online or from taking their courses. Their email should be documented in their syllabi. You can join the undergrad research center's mailing list. Many times labs will reach out looking for students and we will push out news and outreach for students to apply. You can also ask for recommendations from professors that you've worked with, teaching assistants that may be working in labs or have peers that are working in different labs. Also, you can ask around with your peers, your classmates, and students that you might be meeting in the research space. So just keep in mind that some programs and internships may place you in a project with the faculty, for example, the biomedical research minor. In terms of contacting faculty directly, you can work with faculty in any department, regardless of your major. This could include David Geffen's School of Medicine, School of Nursing, School of Dentistry. There's a lot of cool projects that are collaborations between departments. And I just want to emphasize that you really don't need to limit yourself to doing research in your major. Of course, you are the expert in it, but if you want to explore for 1 quarter in a different department, that might be really amazing because you bring an innovative lens that is from a different area on campus. How do you find and connect with the faculty? Well, you can visit department websites, browse the directories, record their information, and get on with reaching out. For example, say you're interested in the molecular cell and developmental biology department, you can click on the department website, look at the faculty list, and here you will find professors that are affiliated or are doing active research within this field. You can take a skimmed look at their lab websites, their papers. You can familiarize yourself with who's working there and reach out to learn more before you contact the faculty. That's totally your personal preference, but there's a lot of information online that you can find so that you can make an informed decision of what your research interests are and what are potential labs that you might want to work with. Some things to keep in mind is that you can work with faculty in any department. You can also work with multiple faculty at the same time. It really just depends on your interests and your bandwidth or time management. However, you should definitely meet with your department counselor to learn about any research requirements for your degree. When you apply to interns or opportunities for research experience, we recommend that you identify about 5 to 10 and work in batches. It's very similar to applying for a job. The more faculty you plan to contact, the better your chances will be. prepare a cover letter and a CV. A CV briefly is a more academic version of a resume. Email them and do not show up to their lab or office unannounced. When you prepare a cover letter, your cover letter should be in the body of the email. You should introduce yourself and explain why you're contacting them, include your name, major, and your year, your interest in the faculty's work, which is very important because you want to make it personal and share how you found that lab. You want to identify your goals and why you're working on that project. Mention that you're interested in interviewing and assess any potential research opportunities that you might have. Say you skimmed their paper that you found online. If you have any questions or if you have a pitch for a small project led by undergraduates, you can include that in the email. And it really shows that you're taking initiative, you know what the lab is all about. And it kind of gets it going, the dialogue of what you can do to help their research and what way could they mentor you to make an impact on the field. This should be 2 to 3 paragraphs maximum. Some tips for the cover letter is to keep it professional. So use honorifics like doctor or professor. You want to personalize the letter. Even if you use a template, be sure to edit so that it's not clearly a template. Be concise and do not worry about not having any prior experience, because more often than not, faculty are looking for someone who is interested in their research and willing to commit the time. When you prepare your CV, this will include professional and academic history, experience, and your skills. 1 page maximum is recommended, and you should include your name, contact information, relevant coursework, work experience, skills, honors, and awards. There are plenty of examples online. You can also get help from the Career Center or the writing program on campus. They go through a lot of students' applications. They know what works, what doesn't work. So it is in your best interest to just run it by them or send a CV or a resume to a peer or a mentor that you may have. And I think the good mentors and the good peers or friends would be more than happy to give you their feedback. What happens if you don't get a response? Do not take it personally. Send a polite follow-up email in a week. We know that professors are very busy and their emails are like flooded, but once you follow up, you may consider CCing another lab member, maybe the PhD students, the undergrad in the lab, and they potentially can nudge your email when they meet the professor in person. Do not show up in person to the lab unannounced. And if you don't receive a response, it's in your best interest to just move on to another faculty. There's plenty of labs on campus, and I'm more than confident that you'll be able to find one that fits your interests. If you get declined, again, do not take it personally. Thank them for their time and their consideration. Move on to the next faculty and just be persistent. This is also an opportunity once they decline you to ask them, do you have any recommendations or colleagues that might need an undergrad? And maybe you can say, I've shared my interests. Like, do you know anyone else that could be a good mentor for me? That's totally fair game and something that you can mention after you get in contact with them, following up from a rejection for a lab space or a lab opportunity. What happens if you're offered an interview? Well, congrats. You want to confirm the date, time, and location. If the interview date is very far away, send a confirmation email 2 to 3 days in advance. Arrive early, dress appropriately, and have questions prepared to ask them, because you are also interviewing them as a mentor and also as a member of your academic team while you're at UCLA. So some questions to ask when you're interviewing could include who will be supervising or training you? How is the project structured? What techniques and equipment will you be using? What safety trainings do you need to complete? What time commitment is expected? How many people are currently working in your lab? Are hours flexible during exam season? And also, what literature can you read in preparation for joining the lab? When you're looking for a research opportunity, here's a recap. You can use a research portal. Our UCLA research portal has been disbanded and deleted, but you can find some online, such as Handshake, LinkedIn, also newsletters on campus. You can contact faculty directly. And I'll also mention again that you can add yourself to the URC's newsletter. You should aim for at least 5 to 10 faculty to start working with and apply in batches. And also ask around, ask your peers, ask your former professors and teaching assistants whether they have any ideas to point you towards good labs. What can you do after you begin research? You can conduct research for academic credit. You can apply for research programs, fellowships, and scholarships. You can also specifically take SRP 99 for the course credit. So an overview of SRP 99 is that it is a lower division independent research course. You'd earn 1 to 2 units for 3 to 10 hours of work per week. That is totally up to you and your mentor to decide. You must have a research project before enrolling, and enrolling does not place you into an open research project. So this is something that you set up with the professor before you do the paperwork. It is repeatable for up to 10 units total, and you must have you must have good academic standing. So you cannot have any holds or probation for your academic standing. You also must be full-time students prior to enrolling in SRP 99. For the students that are working with UCLA Health Sciences faculty, just be sure that you receive clearance before beginning your research activities, because clearance works a little bit differently for volunteers in that health science system. To enroll in SRP, you'd essentially be first making that connection with the faculty. Once they agree to be your mentor for an academic quarter or more, you generate a contract from My UCLA. You have the professor sign the contract. Then you submit it to the Undergrad Research Center, the URC, for approval, and they will enroll you instead of you enrolling yourself, typically for other classes. The grading for SRP is pass or no pass, and the grade is based on your performance in completing your work outlined in the proposal of the contract. Your mentor will be submitting grades through Gradebook and My UCLA, and the transcript will read that you've taken the class and have a formalized research experience. Some policies to keep in mind is that students may enroll in just one SRP 99 each quarter. You cannot enroll in SRP 99 and an upper division independent research course with the same faculty. The deadline to enroll each quarter is Friday of week 2. Again, that's Friday, week 2. Contracts for SRP 99 have to be submitted to the URC. Friday, each quarter, week 2. The outcomes of SRP 99 include getting course credit that is documented on your transcript when you graduate. You'd also be able to conduct research on a quarter by quarter basis, which means there's a clear start and a clear end to what you set out to do with this research faculty mentor. You can also take SRP 99 as an opportunity to formalize your research on your professional development transcript. You could improve your competitiveness for programs and scholarships, and some departments actually require SRP 99 as a prerequisite for upper division research courses. When you're doing research with the UCLA Health Sciences, again, it takes an extra effort with the clearance process. So if you're interested in working at the hospital system, be sure to initiate the process as soon as you can. We also offer Research Practice 99. This is a program where you can enroll and earn course credit for research experiences with non-UCLA faculty at other external institutions, for example, other universities, other community colleges, as well as the hospital systems where they're not affiliated to UCLA. You can learn more on this website. Specifically with the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, you'd actually have to go through the SRP 99 route to do research there. Here are some example success stories from undergraduates at UCLA. First student is Sohan Talari. They were a 4th year biomedical research minor, MIMG major. They met Dr. Yvonne Chen through an introductory biology class, and within the following quarter, they applied and got a position in their lab, and they study molecular and synthetic biology techniques. Some programs that the student was affiliated with and also were awarded stipends through after they joined research include the URFP, URSP, Goldwater Scholarship, and they also work as the editor-in-chief of UCLA's undergraduate science journal. And you're welcome to Google these acronyms for scholarships that are totally available to all undergraduates. It just takes getting into research and you can apply for these fellowships and programs. The experience that Sohan shared with us after their research at UCLA included building lab skills, mentoring peers, publishing their work, and presenting at the annual undergraduate research week on campus. Another student, a freshman admit, Alex Wu, was a fourth-year design and media arts neuroscience double major. They cold emailed neuroscience labs, and they joined a lab soon after that studies the neural basis of learning and movement. And the programs that they were affiliated with after they started research included I2URP, Amgen Scholars, and the Neuroscience Shelburne Scholarship. Their experience combined neuroscience and lab skills. They also gained patience and problem solving through their research experience. So you can find much more student spotlights on the Undergrad Research Center's website, as well as in our newsletter, so that you can find more pathways that fellow UCLA undergrad researchers have taken to get into research, to excel in research, and potentially even stay in research. So I'm going to speed through some opportunities for undergraduate researchers. You can apply to so many academic, financial, and professional scholarships where you could get stipends, you can get one-on-one mentorship. You can also get just the title and the credibility of being a scholarship recipient on your portfolio or your CV when you leave UCLA. So you can find these scholarships at the Scholarship Resource Center, Financial Aid Office, as well as the URC's website. You can also, once you get into research, enroll in upper division tutorial courses. These are numbered 196 to 199 and are administered by the department, not the undergrad research center. Usually they're open to juniors and seniors, and you complete it as a series. We should definitely meet with your department counselor for more information. And I think these classes are amazing because at the end of your tutorial course, you'll be writing a thesis or a capstone project that could very well be, if you have great mentorship, submitted as a manuscript to a peer-reviewed journal. So it is a little bit of accountability for your research project to be well done and well documented for publication in the future. You can also present your work as an undergraduate researcher. This would really help you develop your scientific writing and presentation skills. You can learn about other projects in your field, network with other researchers, and attend seminars and panels that are hosted at the conference. The URC actually has funding to send students to conferences. Also, research labs typically fund students to attend and promote their research, as well as to gain feedback from peers and experts in the field to bring back and incorporate into their research projects. Going to conferences is actually one of my favorite things about being in research. We have incredible undergraduate science journals on campus. For example, you can submit your research project to this journal. Your peers, your students on campus, students that are involved in research on campus will review it, ask for edits, make sure it is rigorous, and they will publish it in this annual or actually maybe even quarterly journal. And I think it's incredible because it is a citation reference that you can include in your CV. Even though it's an undergraduate journal, it is one journal that is very reputable and also shows that you kind of know the ropes of what it takes to formalize your work into writing and to submit and publish and print to the public to read. There are also summer research programs that I'd like to share with you about. They accept students without any prior research experience, and you can kind of do this in the summer if you're looking for something to do, and also if you're interested. One that we really recommend is called the Summer Programs for Undergrad Research, abbreviated as SPUR at UCLA. You can check with your department counselor for any opportunities that are related to your department, but you can also look for off-campus programs. You can even make research programs from scratch. You can just reach out to a professor at another school and say, hey, I want to do research. I like your work. Let's collaborate. That is totally okay. Might take a little bit more creativity and certainty about what you want to do in the research, but it's totally fair game if you don't want to go through a program like Spur. So this is the end of the research workshop. So feel free to sign up for the mailing list, and you can check out our resources on sciences.ug.research. And within the newsletter, you'd be receiving information about upcoming scholarships, programs, events, and resources. We also do workshops, and you're also welcome to look at sample timelines online that we have, scan the QR code for different workshops that we have recorded and posted. And thank you so much for attending the workshop. Our staff is in office Monday to Thursday, so you are also welcome to send messages to my UCLA or by email.